Am I very scary? In order to stop myself from making this mistake, I must leave. Forgive me for not having the courage to bid farewell to you. I believe that with a powerful and respectable man like Lu Bian beside you, you don't feel lonely. Wishing you both a long-lived harmonious union, living to a ripe old age in conjugal bliss. The letter was very simple, and in the end there wasn't any signatory sign-off, but from that arrogant and overbearing grass script, Huang Yueli would not be mistaken. Li Moying's writing was calm, and in the end, he was exceptional, enduring while wishing her bliss, but from what Huang Yueli saw, she seemed to be able to clearly feel the deep pain which the man was feeling in his heart. Writing such things, he really wanted to separate from her. Huang Yueli was stuffed for a moment before angrily patting the letter onto the table. Li Moying, what do you mean? I already said there's nothing between me and Lu Bian. You actually made up images in your own mind. And wishing us conjugal bliss. If I really get married to him, you can go cry, humph. And what's more, you don't even dare to face me and talk, not even daring to bid farewell. What a scaredy cat, coward. Not like a real man at all. I'm so angry that I can die. Yesterday you exposed your own identity and made me full of queries, and now without giving me a chance to ask properly, you actually ran away. If you have what it takes, don't let me find you, otherwise I will definitely let you see some colors. Huang Yueli decided on the spot that this absolutely cannot just end like that. She must find Li Moying and ask him clearly. Actually, after last night, she was around 90% sure that Li Moying probably was Mu Qingying but didn't know what had happened to him. Now that she saw him escaping hastily once dawn broke out, he probably couldn't remember what happened after his illness relapsed and wouldn't be able to recall if his memories had anything to do with Mu Qingying. Moreover, that soul detachment illness was extremely strange. In this, there was definitely a huge secret which she didn't know about. But Huang Yueli actually secretly heaved a sigh of relief. Just some time ago, she was almost forced into lunacy by Li Moying. She obviously wasn't some flowery-hearted person, and in her past life, she had so many pursuers, and yet she clearly knew who she liked. Why was it that after she reincarnated, the first man she saw, she had a change of heart? She secretly blamed herself for betraying Mu Qingying. Now there was a huge possibility that the both of them were the same person. Then it would show that she wasn't flower-hearted. On the contrary, she had great foresight. Even though both of them bore different identities, but subconsciously, she was still able to tell that the person she liked was there. But even after 1,000 words were repeated, the most urgent matter now was to find Li Moying and find out from him what exactly happened to him. Huang Yueli was determined as she secretly returned to her own room and started packing her luggage. The next day, while dawn had just broke out, Huang Yueli woke up very early and prepared to set off on her journey. Although Li Moying sat on a huge flying ship, she probably wouldn't be able to chase up to him, but the earlier she got to Celestial Light Sect, the better. She first went to Su Qingyue and informed her that she was going on a journey to learn through experience, and left her some secret manuals and pills, allowing her and Yu Xinyang to cultivate properly. After this was done, Huang Yueli headed directly to the entrance of the academy. Whoever knew that the minute she walked to the public square, from afar, she saw Li Shuer walking right up to her. You can also listen on. Huang Yueli had not met Li Shuer for quite a number of days already. As compared to her usual glamorous look, the current Li Shuer cut a sorry figure and her face was pale. Furthermore, she seemed to have lost weight as her cheekbone was already popping out. Usually when Li Shuer saw her, she would go on a detour simply because she was scared of being beaten up and afraid that she could find some handle over her and get a beating again. But today, not only did Li Shuer not avoid her, she even walked up to her in big strides as a smile of ridicule hung on her face. By Ruoli, I heard that you've been ditched by my second brother. That's just so satisfying. Huang Yueli's footsteps took a halt as she swept a cold glance at her. Xiao Ming's grandpa isn't a practitioner, but he managed to live till 120 years old. Do you know why? Li Shuer didn't expect her to say that and went into a blank. Why? Because he never meddled in other people's business. Huang Yueli threw this sentence at her and turned around to leave. She had no time to tangle herself with this dumb thing. However, after Li Shuer realized what she said, her face turned into livid and she pursued her relentless, blocking her way as she cried out utterly discomfited, "You, what do you mean? By Ruoli, you still dare to be so arrogant?" Huang Yueli sneered, "What do I mean? I mean exactly what the words mean. Care about your own affairs first. After you've been chased out by Master Tang, your days in the academy isn't that easygoing, right? To tell you the truth, Principal Jiang didn't expel you because of your second brother, so if you don't tuck your tail behind properly, then better return back to South Yu Kingdom earlier." Li Shuers almost gagged on her own anger but didn't dare to make a move against Huang Yueli, so she could only stare daggers at her, and she said meanly, "Enough, stop pretending. Yesterday a lot of people in the academy had already seen it. That second brother of mine sat on a luxurious flying ship and left Celestial Light Academy. Beside him was an outstanding beauty." Hearing that, Huang Yueli was stunned. An outstanding beauty. Li Shuer saw her surprised look and thought that she had poked through her thoughts. Her heart began to gain some balance as she became pleased with herself. Actually a lot of people know about it, that my second brother is Celestial Light Sect's young sect master, right? TSK, he really had that hidden very well. As for you, you are also able to tell that my second brother's identity is extraordinary but still pretended not to know and plastered yourself onto him. This tactic is really high. But your calculations have gone haywire. Do you think my second brother will really marry you? I'll tell you about it. Yesterday that outstanding beauty who left with second brother is rumored to be Celestial Light Sect Master's daughter, a real sect's daughter. Her status is invaluable and moreover she's an 8th grade peerless genius. As compared to her, you're not even an ant. Who let you be so complacent several days ago? How about now? Second brother left you in the academy and went back along with the sect master's daughter. Now, the entire school knows second brother is sick of you and have ditched you. The more Li Shuer said, the more complacent she became, and she almost couldn't help but laughed out loudly. Ever since the day she was openly humiliated by Huang Yueli and Li Moying at the profound weapon chambers, and thrown out to run around naked, her reputation in the academy had fallen to the bottom of the deep abyss. In the past, there were large families' talented sons surrounding her. But now, even if an ordinary trash student dared to hit on her, it was obvious that it was done with the intent of fooling around with her. You can also listen on. This kind of humiliation was all due to Huang Yueli. Luckily, karmic retribution within one's lifetime came very quickly. It was finally this wretched lass's turn to become an abandoned woman. Huang Yueli seemed to not have heard her ridicule, but only lowered her tone while lost in her thoughts, so he brought Murong Fei away. Li Moying was just too nice to her. He already left dejectedly but was so considerate of her, taking away all those who could possibly hurt her. Such a good man like this. She must grab hold of him properly and not make the same mistake as in her previous life. Li Shuer saw that she was neither shocked nor upset, but instead she began to smile and she couldn't help but frown. Hey! By Ruoli, have you gone crazy? Or has water gone into your head? What are you laughing at? Li Shuer looked at her for a while and suddenly she started laughing out. Oh, right. You'd always been daydreaming that you will be able to marry second brother, flying up to the branch to become a phoenix. Now that your beautiful dream is shattered, no wonder you're going crazy. Why don't you take a mirror and check yourself out? Did you think that you have settled Emperor Father and made him confer the marriage arrangement to become second brother's official fiancé? Let me tell you. For second brother, a genius in the sect, only the sect master can preside over his marriage. Emperor Father's words are not accurate at all. Which means to say, she paused for a moment and intentionally said out word by word, you are not second brother's fiancé. Only his plaything. Huang Yueli knew that Li Moying had done so much for her, so all the more she wanted to find him quickly and had lost her patience to talk further with Li Shuer. Unfortunately, Li Shuer didn't knew she was courting her own death as she kept chattering non-stop by the side of her ear. Huang Yueli couldn't be bothered to say anything else to her, and couldn't care less about teaching her a lesson, so she shoved her aside and wanted to continue on her way forward. Li Shuer didn't knew that she had escaped a calamity but still continued to tug at her sleeve. Hey, Bairuoli, you're leaving just like that? Come on, let's have a good chat. After all, you'd almost became my second sister-in-law. Aw, dash. Huang Yueli frowned and with a flick of her sleeve, she sent Li Shuer flying. Li Shuer had not expected her to make a move and fell heavily onto the ground. Immediately following that, a burst of flame arose within Huang Yueli's hands and flew circling towards her. Ah! Help! I'm going to be burned to death. Bairuoli is murdering someone. Li Shuer saw a crimson-red flame heading towards her and a scorching feeling pouncing over. She was panic-stricken and kept rolling around on the ground screaming and screeching. The both of them were originally in the public square and there were originally a lot of people, but as the both of them were hiding behind the wall, so not many people noticed them. With Li Shuer screaming out loud, a lot of people heard them and headed over. Soon, a circle of people surrounding the area. Ah! Isn't that Bairuoli? And that person rolling on the ground, isn't that Li Shuer? It seems so. What's the situation now? Why did the both of them started arguing again? No idea. I heard that Bairuoli was ditched by senior brother Li. Could it be that her mentality took a perverted change after she was jilted and took it out on the fiancé's sister? All the people crowded around curiously to look at Huang Yueli and Li Shuer. Apparently Li Moying's departure yesterday had spread throughout the entire academy. Huang Yueli then raised her hand and gave a gentle wave. The flame on Li Shuer's body flashed for a moment and was immediately extinguished. You can also listen on. Li Shuer had not noticed that the flame had disappeared and continued to roll around on the ground, screaming aguishly. It was the surrounding students who realized that something was amiss. Why isn't Li Shuer wearing any clothes? Wrong, it's not that she didn't wear anything, but her clothes had all been burned by Bairuoli. Right. That means to say, Bairuoli's control of fire is just too powerful. Li Shuer's clothes were burnt cleanly, but there isn't a single bit of injury on her. What's more, it's under the circumstance that she kept rolling around while burning. Her skills are simply miraculous. TSK, quickly take a look. Li Shuer's figure isn't bad at all. Her waist is slender and her breasts are huge. I'm getting turned on by her. Li Shuer rolled around on the ground, and when she heard the crowd's discussion, she finally realized that something was wrong and stopped her actions. She blankly lowered her head, and the next moment, she used her hands to cover her chest as she started screaming while jumping up. You. Bairuoli, what did you do to me? You burned all my clothes. Huang Yueli smiled calmly. Why? Don't tell me you like me to burn your skin along with it. Such heavy taste. I can oblige to your wishes. Seeing Huang Yueli raised her hand, Li Shuer was scared stiff. You, don't come over, don't come closer. She looked left and right and only saw a group of people crowding around to enjoy the show, especially those male students. Their sights were simply vulgar and wretched, looking extremely disgusting. Li Shuer hugged her chest with both her hands as she screamed and ran through the crowd. There were some male students with bad intentions and purposely didn't allow her to leave easily, as some of them tried to grope her as she was trying to leave. It took some effort on her part before Li Shuer finally got rid of these fellows and disappeared like a wisp of smoke into the campus. Huang Yueli sneered slightly. Looks like the last naked run didn't make you learn a lesson, so this time. I hope you can grow some brains. She turned around and wanted to leave. But she didn't expect the crowd to not only give way, but many of them started discussing she and Li Moying's matter openly. As though her separation with Li Moying seemed like a joke. Huang Yueli's expression sunk and profound energy was instantly unleashed from her body. A powerful pressure shot out to its surroundings. She was now a third-stage realm peak practitioner, and among the students in Celestial Light Academy, the existence of her outstanding potential stood firm. Most of the students were only second-stage realm or even at first-stage 8th or 9th level cultivation. The disparity of the potential was too huge, so Huang Yueli's pressure to them was like a stick banging onto their heads. Everyone's expression turned green instantly, and they clutched their chests as they retreated continuously. There were even some students whose abilities were too weak and immediately threw up blood or fainted directly onto the ground. Huang Yueli didn't even bother to look at them and didn't want to spend any energy explaining to these short-sighted people as she walked directly out of the academy's main entrance. It was until her figure disappeared, those students who were under pressure climbed up challengingly. They exchanged glances with one another and could see the terror in the other party's eyes. It's really Bairuoli, a third-stage realm peak's ability is fully justified. Right, let's all be careful and not talk carelessly. Beware that trouble starts from the mouth. That's right, although senior brotherly has left, but Bairuoli is no soft stone as well. Crushing us is no different from crushing an ant. You can also listen on. They finally recalled that the delicate and gentle beauty wasn't some soft persimmon at all. Not only was she Li Moying's fiancée, even without that name, she was still a shocking powerful third-stage realm peak practitioner. Within a mere number of strikes, she was able to defeat the martial arts stage number 2 super talent. Furthermore, she was a skillful uncertified armament master. Some women, they are nothing after they leave their men. But Huang Yueli was different. Even without Li Moying beside her, her presence was still invulnerable. Relationship to her was merely a brocade which made her even more perfect. On Celestial Light's sex-flying ship. Eldest young miss, you cannot enter. Master's soul detachment illness acted up a few days ago, and until now he hasn't fully recovered, so he needs to rest properly. Please don't disturb him, kindly leave. Moe and Moer blocked the entrance of the cabin as they spoke expressionlessly. Murong Fei's expression was extremely ugly as she gritted her teeth and said, I know eldest senior brother's body is unwell, so I'm especially here to take care of him. I've personally made some soup to aid in his recovery. Give way and I'll get some for eldest senior brother to drink. Moe's tall stature didn't budge. Eldest young miss, master had just instructed that no matter who comes, he does not want to meet, so thank you for your understanding. Murong Fei said unhappily, why? Even if eldest senior brother refused to meet any other people, but he will definitely see me. I am his junior sister who grew up together with him. I care for him and want to visit him. Isn't that a normal thing? You all give way. This rain ginseng chicken soup that I made for him was prepared for an entire night with 1,000-year rain ginseng. If eldest senior brother didn't manage to drink it, can you be responsible for it? Moe practically ignored what she was saying and stood by the door dutifully. Eldest young miss, I am merely obeying master's instructions, so please don't make things difficult for me. You simply don't know what's good for you. I want to meet eldest senior brother. is that something that you two lowly servants can obstruct? Moe was of age and his character was steady, so although he heard these words, he remained expressionless. On the contrary, Moe wasn't that patient. Although the shadow guards had recognized Li Moying as their master, but in Celestial Light sect, they were not ordinary outer disciples, nor were they servants. They were all outstanding inner disciples, and there were some who were even direct disciples. Speaking of that, they were considered as Murong Fei's senior brother as well, but to be called as a servant at her beck and call, who could tolerate this? Moe laughed out immediately. Eldest young miss, even if the few of us are servants, we are young sect master's servants. As the saying goes, you see who is the master of the dog that you are beating. Even master's fiancée Miss Bei treats us politely, you really don't treat yourself as an outsider. When Murong Fei heard these words, she grew angrier. You actually dare to use a little slut to oppress me? What scheme did that little slut use to bribe you? It's no use even if you act loyally to her. Eldest senior brother has already ditched her. In future, I will be your future mistress and you dare to offend me. Murong Fei was still giving unbridled orders. Suddenly a cold voice rang above her head. You say, who is the little slut? That deep magnetic voice was extremely familiar. Murong Fei hurriedly raised her head and her expression was filled with joy. Eldest senior brother, you're finally out. I knew it, you definitely see me. You can also listen on. Li Moying didn't even bother casting her a look as he shifted his gaze back towards Moe and Moe, chiding them sternly. You can't even do such a small matter properly, what use do I have you for? The sweat on the two shadow guards' foreheads dripped down along their necklines as they lowered their heads, not daring to say a single word. Murong Fei looked complacent as she stared at Moe and Moe, thinking who dared to let them obstruct her. Serves them right that they've gotten their lesson now. She felt that these two were lectured too little, and in order to make them understand her prowess, she stood by the side of Li Moying, snitching on them. Eldest senior brother, I've come to look for you specially, knowing that you had a relapse several days ago. It's just too dangerous, so I think your internal injury is rather serious, right? Look, this is the 1000-year rain ginseng chicken soup that I specially prepared for you to aid in your recovery. These two blind fellows actually dared to block my way, they simply don't have any respect for you. She intentionally suppressed her tone, making herself sound sweet as she talked, pretending to wipe a tear off the corner of her eye, putting on an act which looked like she was bullied by someone. When Moe heard the misrepresentation, he was so angry that he almost jumped at her. It was Moe who was stopping him from behind. When Li Moying heard that, he cast his glance onto her, but his words turned out to be, Moe, I'll give you a chance to redeem yourselves. Send eldest Miss Murong back to her own cabin and make her stay inside to cultivate properly, and stop heading outside. If I see her again, then the two of you need not follow me anymore. When Moe and Moe heard that, they shivered and hastily replied, Yes, your subordinate obeys. We will definitely get this matter settled. Saying that, the both of them went up and pulled Murong Fei. Murong Fei stared at them in disbelief and tried to shake them off as she cried out loudly, Eldest senior brother, what do you mean by that? I am here specially to deliver the soup to you. Li Moying threw a chilly glance at her as he gave a cold growl from the back of his throat. What do I mean? Let me ask you, who did you say earlier was a little slut? Murong Fei was tongue-tied. She had not expected Li Moying to hear what she said outside and immediately felt extremely embarrassed. But she felt that she didn't scolded her wrongly. Only that she usually appeared as a refined young lady in front of Li Moying, and now he heard her scolding vulgarities so that damaged her image. Li Moying coldly replied, By Ruoli is the best girl who I've met, so what right do you have to use such a term on her? Murong Fei was filled with grievance as she cried out in dissatisfaction, eldest senior brother, how could you say that? I've heard the others talk about it, that Byruoli and the other men have something going on and even caught red-handed by you, which was why you ditched her, right? This kind of wanton and unconservative slow. Murong Fei was talking halfway when she suddenly felt a sharp pain in her chest, and upon a wah sound, she spat out a mouthful of blood. Li Moying couldn't take it when he heard how she insulted Huang Yueli, and the might from his surroundings was unleashed as it struck out towards Murong Fei. Even though Murong Fei was a 6th-stage realm practitioner but in front of Li Moying, she had no sliver of a chance to resist against him. Just one gaze from him was enough to quake her chest into an unbearable pain as all the bones in her entire body seemed to be crushed immediately. Murong Fei kept trembling and she was almost going to fall limp onto the ground. At this moment, a chilly feeling ran down from the back of her spine. You can also listen on. She had always knew that Li Moying was very strong, but it was only until now that she discovered that she had underestimated him. The pressure which Li Moying had unleashed was not like an ordinary 7th-stage realm practitioner. Even with her father Murong's imposing manner, he could not be compared to Li Moying at all. In the daze, an icy cold voice echoed into her ears. Murong Fei, remember this clearly. No matter how Byruoli is, it's not up to you to criticize her. Even if she's not my fiancé, I will still protect her for life. Don't even dream about having any chance to hurt her. If I hear you say one more bad thing about her, don't blame me for not giving your father any face. Once the sentence was laid, Murong Fei suddenly felt the powerful aura pressure disappeared instantly. She fell limp onto the ground, her inner heart filled with immense terror, not daring to say a single word. When Moe and Moer came up to drag her away, she totally lost all energy to resist and was dragged back to her room directly. It was until a quarter of an hour later when she finally regained her senses. Recalling Li Moying's stern and ruthless look, she was filled with love and admiration even though she was stricken with terror. Eldest senior brother, he really was very powerful, too powerful. In soaring heaven's continent, such an exceptional able practitioner would make others revere him, winning all the ladies' admiration. Li Moying's ability was much stronger than her imagination, and that increased Murong Fei's determination to win his heart. If a man like Li Moying could become her husband, she would become the envy of many young ladies. In future for Li Moying becomes a 9th-stage realm top expert, was a matter of fact. With his peerlessly handsome looks, having such a husband was a matchless glory. She absolutely cannot let go of this man. Although Li Moying only had Byruoli in his heart now, hadn't the two of them broken up. She had lots of chances now to make Li Moying have a change of heart. But, as long as that little slut lived, she was still a disaster. There was no guarantee that eldest senior brother would reignite his feelings for her. If only she could remain behind in Celestial Light Academy. Murong Fei suddenly recalled something when she thought of this, and her eyes widened. Right, so that's the case. I was still thinking why eldest senior brother would suddenly think of me and brought me up the flying ship back to the sect. So, he's worried that after he left, I will bring harm to that little slut. No wonder. After I boarded the flying ship, he paid no attention to me at all. Murong Fei had originally thought that Li Moying brought her back to the sect and did not mention Huang Yueli was because he finally realized her good points. In the end, after they boarded the ship, Li Moying refused to even meet up with her and had been cultivating in the cabin alone. So she had misunderstood Li Moying's thoughts. We're still on that woman. After Murong Fei thought it through, she was so jealous that she was going insane. Little slut, don't even think of trying to stand in between eldest senior brother and me. Eldest senior brother is mine and you're not worthy of him. Humph, don't think that after I left Celestial Light Academy, I can't do anything to you. Murong Fei's face slowly revealed a sinister smile. Luckily, I'm not the only one who wants to claim your life. And I've already made prior preparations. Eldest senior brother, you haven't thought of this right. Although you've made me stay by your side, but your little lover still must die. You can also listen on. After Huang Yueli left Celestial Light Academy, she first went to Sky Cloud City's market area preparing to buy a horse for traveling. But when she was walking on the streets, she suddenly felt that something was amiss, as though someone was looking at her with ill intentions. Huang Yueli swiftly turned her head but could only see passing pedestrians behind her, and every one of them seemed very ordinary, so it wasn't possible to find any suspicious characters. She frowned as she silently turned on to high alert mode. She walked into the stable and quickly picked a dark lighting steed and told the stable's footboy, "I want this horse, how much does it cost?" The footstep saw someone picking the most expensive horse in the stable and was initially overjoyed, but when he saw clearly that the young lady who was standing in front of him only looked 14 to 15 years old, his face crashed. He spoke out in a bad mood, "Miss, this horse isn't suitable for you. It's better that you take a look over that side." Huang Yueli frowned, "I'm asking how much does this horse cost?" The footboy rolled his eyes at her and said, "Miss, do you know what horse is this?" "The Dark Lightning Steed, it's a third-tier magical beast. It can travel 5,000 miles a day and its price is something unimaginable for you. Since you can't afford it, then why are you asking so much for? Wasting our time. It's better that you go over to that time and look at those ordinary horses." He waved his hand as though swatting houseflies, hoping to shoo Huang Yueli away. Huang Yueli's face sunk as an unpleasant feeling arose within her heart. This was simply looking down on her. Looked like her age brought about this problem. Furthermore, in order to rush on the journey, she was dressed more casually than usual, which resulted in the market's footboy giving her such expressions. Huang Yueli didn't say much and took out a palm-size badge from her realm ring as she slowly pinned it onto her chest. Footboy originally wasn't paying attention and added on some cynical remarks, "Miss, what are you bringing out? Your family's treasure to buy this horse. Looks nothing especially." Saying that, he suddenly saw the badge on Huang Yueli's chest clearly as his eyes opened wide, as though he had seen a ghost, and he became tongue-tied. This Armament Master's badge. Why? You can't recognize this. But, how is this possible? You're just 14 or 15 years old. Huang Yueli sneered, "Why not? I think no one dares to fabricate an Armament Master's badge, right? Do you think that a certified Armament Master is not able to afford a horse?" Footboy was so scared that he almost knelt down in front of her. The Armament Guild's badge was absolutely not a fake. Because this badge itself was a high-level profound armament, and other than the designated master, other people would not be able to pin it on their chests. An Armament Master's position in the entire Soaring Heavens continent was incomparably valuable, and this Armament Master in front of him was so young, that meant that she must be some highly valued super genius in the Armament Guild. This kind of people was not someone who a small footboy like him, who was working in a stable, could afford to offend. They just needed to say one word and he would lose his job. No, of course not. This master, it's me who has eyes but cannot see properly. Please will you be appeased? The stable had quite a number of other customers. The minute Huang Yueli took out her Armament Master badge, it immediately attracted a bustle. A valuable Armament Master personally visiting the stable to buy a horse, that was a rare sight. You can also listen on. The stable's boss quickly heard the news, and when he came over, he immediately and politely lowered his head to show his apology towards Huang Yueli. "Respectable master, please accept my sincere apologies. I know this has affected your mood and this is our responsibility, so we hope you will be understanding." As he was saying that, He stared fiercely at the footboy. The footboy's hair was drenched in sweat and he cowered in one corner, trembling with fear, as he cried out in agony in his heart. He usually treated people according to his observation, and a young lady like Huang Yueli was generally various academy students and were mostly from the countryside. So they weren't able to afford any good horses. Since he didn't earn much from them, he usually treated them impolitely. Whoever knew that he would kick onto a piece of steel today? This ordinary-looking young lady, actually was an armament master. Sky Cloud City actually has such a young armament master. Recalling what he said earlier, the footboy couldn't wait to just kill himself by throwing himself into the wall. He actually ridiculed an armament master not being able to afford a horse. Who didn't know that armament masters were the most profitable occupation in the entire Soaring Heavens continent? Huang Yueli raised her lower jaw slightly as she spoke out in an aloof tone, "You're the stable's boss. I had originally saw your stable was the largest in the entire market, so I came over and take a look. Looks like I'm too naive. Your horses here are too high class and I cannot afford to buy one. I think I better visit elsewhere to take a look." Saying that, she raised her feet and wanted to leave. The boss broke out in sweat and hurriedly stopped her as he said anxiously, No, master, you're mistaken. Our horses are one of the best in Sky Cloud City, and how could a valuable guest like you not be able to afford it? It's this fellow who doesn't know how to talk. Master, please don't leave. Whichever horse you've taken a fancy to, let me know and I'll give you a 40% discount. I'll give you a 40% discount. What joke was that? The shop finally had such a valuable guest, and even an armament master came to purchase a steed at his stable. If that spread, that would be a living advertisement, so how could he miss out on such a good chance? Moreover, if this master were to leave in anger, and if she were to say a few things to Sky Cloud City's Merchant Association, then he probably would be blacklisted by the association. Huang Yueli halted her footsteps as she slowly nodded. Since that's the case, then I'll stay around and take a look. To tell the truth, if it was usual times, after such a scene, Huang Yueli would absolutely not want to continue shopping around in this shop. But unfortunately she was pressed for time and was urgent to get on her journey. This stable was indeed the largest in the area, so she had to make do with it for now. The boss saw her nodding and wiped the sweat off her head as he heaved a sigh of relief. Following that, he eagerly attended to Huang Yueli, personally bringing her around the stable to take her pick. Huang Yueli impatiently said, "All right, I'm rushing for time. I want that pure black-colored dark lightning steed. How much?" This dark lightning steed is something which 3/4 stage realm practitioners work together to capture it. Look at its shiny hair and 4 limbs. Enough of the nagging. How much is it? The boss wanted to exaggerate a little to raise the horse's value. Whoever knew Huang Yueli couldn't be bothered to hear what he had to say. He could only reply, "A total of 100,000 mid-quality spirit stones and 1,000 upper-quality spirit stones." Huang Yueli nodded, and without saying anything else, she took a few bags out from her interspatial ring and threw it onto the boss's hands, and walked over to lead the horse by herself. You can also listen on. The boss lowered his head and counted the spirit stones in the bags and went into a blank. This master, have you given us short?" Huang Yueli didn't even bother to give him a look and said, "That's correct. Where did I give short?" The boss laughed wryly. "This master, didn't you hear clearly earlier? Or have you taken the wrong bag? I said 100,000 mid-quality spirit stones. After 40% discount it should be 60,000. You have here only a total of 30,000. Huang Yueli then swept him a glance as her lips curled into a sarcastic arc. "Boss, do you think I'm so easy to fool? Or are armament masters sillier regarding money? This dark lightning stead of yours, although it's a third-tier magical beast, but it was once injured and had long lost the battle power of a third-tier magical beast. It's only suitable for use as a mount. Think I really can't tell. This dark lightning stead's highest value would be 50,000 mid-quality spirit stones, and after 40%, it's 30,000, so I didn't give wrongly. This, the boss was flabbergasted as he heard her speak out frankly with assurance. He indeed had the intention, thinking that such a young armament master, although had a lot of money but probably didn't understand the market value. So how much was it sold for was based on his words. Not to mention giving her a 40% discount, even if it was a 90% discount, he could still open a ridiculous pricing to earn loads of profit. In the end, he had not expected Huang Yueli to expose his tricks from just one conversation. And accurately stated the market value for this dark lightning stead. In this way, after giving her a 40% discount, he was going to make a loss of 20,000 mid-quality spirit stones. This to him wasn't a small amount of money. The boss wiped the sweat off his forehead and tried his best to defend himself. Really? This dark lightning stead is actually injured. I really can't tell. Furthermore, we will not just sell the horse to you, we also have specialized professionals who can aid you in taming it before mounting it. Otherwise, a wild magical beast like this are usually very unyielding. How could a delicate armament master like you? The boss spoke halfway when he suddenly stopped. He saw Huang Yueli walk directly to the side of the dark lightning stead and stretched out her hand on its head, patting it, subsequently retrieving a piece of cubed sugar from her interspatial ring and fed it. After the dark lightning stead finished its sugar, its head rubbed against her chest and obediently lowered its body to allow her to mount it. The boss's eyes almost popped out. What he was saying earlier was half true. This horse was indeed tamed by 3/4 stage realm practitioners, and that was the truth. Furthermore, after the dark lightning stead came to their stable, it had been difficult to tame it, and whoever went near it would be kicked, not to mention allowing anyone to mount it obediently. In the end, this weak-looking armament master actually easily conquered it, and even led the horse away. How would he ever knew that Huang Yueli's concentration power was much stronger than everyone else, and her cultivation was stronger than what he imagined. The dark lightning stead was said to be a magical beast which bullied the weak and afraid of the strong, so when it saw her, it didn't dare to resist. Adding on to the fact that Huang Yueli had a natural affinity towards animals, so naturally it was easy for her. Huang Yueli mounted the horse, and without saying anything, she left with the horse. She left Sky Cloud City and went on her way. The number of pedestrians on the road were getting lesser and lesser. The faint uneasy feeling in Huang Yueli's heart became more and more obvious. You can also listen on. Instinct told her that someone had their eyes on her, but even though she specially detoured several times, but that didn't make the follower give the game away. This to Huang Yueli was a dangerous signal. Because she wasn't any rookie who had just stepped out into society but was an experienced practitioner. In terms of anti-tracking and evading dangerous spots, she was already very experienced. But even though she used several tactics, but she wasn't able to dig the question out. This meant that the person who followed her had long surpassed her own ability. Moreover, he should be an experienced practitioner. To be targeted by such a person, her current situation was extremely dangerous. Huang Yueli wasn't able to dig that person out for the entire day. Till nightfall, she rested at an inn and specially asked for an ordinary room, selecting the most isolated corner, hoping to make her follower thought her defenses were low and would attack her in the middle of the night. She set up various mechanisms in the room and maintained a light sleeping condition for the entire night, preserving her senses as she guarded against him. In the end, the entire night went by but nothing happened. This made Huang Yueli even more suspicious. Could it be that the opponent had seen through her tricks? Or the opponent didn't want her life at all, but had other motives? The next day morning, Huang Yueli didn't set off alone but chose to move along with a group of merchants. Originally, the leader of the merchants' team wasn't willing to travel along with strangers, but upon seeing Huang Yueli's armament master badge, his attitude took a 180-degree turn, and not only did he stop opposing, he even immediately started to flatter her and pleased her. Profound armament business was the most profitable business in the entire Soaring Heavens continent, and to get on good terms with a boundless future young armament master, that meant that there would be endless profound armaments to deal with and loads of spirit stones going into their accounts. So when Huang Yueli expressed that she was evading trouble and needed them to cover her for a while, he agreed immediately. Huang Yueli wasn't expecting this group of merchants' protection. After all, the highest cultivation in this group was only 3rd stage realms, so in terms of battle power, they didn't even stand 10% of hers. But the more people who covered her, that meant the higher increased chances of her escape. Although the truth had proven itself, but Huang Yueli's thinking was still wrong. After the group of merchants had left on their journey not too long later, a hooded man stopped their tracks. "Where are the few of you heading to?" When Huang Yueli heard this voice, her mind suddenly buzzed. She immediately recognized that this voice was the same one as when she was attacked at the scripture depository entrance, that masked man's voice. The one following her was actually him. This was bad. The last time she crossed hands with this black-robed man, she wasn't his opponent at all. The disparity between a 7th and 3rd stage realm was just too huge. If it wasn't for Li Moying's timely arrival, she probably would have become a dead corpse by now. She had not expected the black-robed man to continue monitoring her movements, and the minute he saw her separated from Li Moying and leaving Celestial Light Academy alone, he immediately followed her, attempting to take action on her. This time, it's probably the end for her. But the black-robed man was standing right in front, and she couldn't possibly turn around and leave. That would expose her as a target even easily. All she could do was to maintain her cool and wait for an opportunity to escape. The merchant group's leader felt this man was a little too strange but didn't realize that he was so dangerous. You can also listen on. The leader tried to sound him out. "We are from Jade Wind Merchant Guild and we're on our way to do business at the west side, which is why we are passing by here. May I know what's the meaning of you stopping us here?" Jade Wind Merchant Guild was one of the 3 merchant guilds in Sky Cloud City, and usually after he reported the name of his backing, most petty thieves would not dare to make trouble for them. But that mysterious man was not moved, and he asked, "This morning, was there a 14 to 15-year-old lass who sneaked in between your merchant group?" The minute the leader heard this, he knew this was what Huang Yueli meant by trouble. But since he had already accepted a few pieces of first-tier profound armaments as present, so naturally he would have to deny that. "What young lass? I've never seen her. Are you looking for someone? Who is this young lass? Has your daughter gone missing?" The mysterious man sneered, and that husky laughter which came from the hood sounded even more horrifying. "I'd persuade you to think carefully if there's such a person. I forgot to remind you that earlier the other merchant groups which were staying in the same inn as you, I've already cross-checked with them one by one. There was a leader of one merchant group who didn't know what's good for him and refused to answer my question. Since I was in a hurry to know the answer, then I could only..." His voice halted and his profound energy was suddenly unleashed as a powerful aura floated out towards them. "Could only kill them one by one, but in the end, I wasn't able to find her." His words were flighty, but those people who heard that all trembled with fear as sweat drenched their backs. This not only meant that the words that he said was horrifying, but also meant that he displayed the fact that he was able to kill everyone there. At this moment, the leader turned green with regret. He had not expected that this young armament master to have trifled with such a horrifying peerless expert. If he knew this earlier, he wouldn't even covert over those few pieces of profound armaments, which might even cost his life. A few others in the group started to sway. Someone spoke out while shivering, "This sir, He had just made a starting when suddenly his eyes popped out. A blinding flame rose into the sky right in front of them. Immediately following that, a few hundred cicada blades shot towards the mysterious man under the cover of the fire. The entire scene turned disorderly immediately, and there were various screams and screeches as the sound of goods overturning filled the entire place. The mysterious man was caught off guard, and even though he managed to react in time at the last stage, avoiding the important places, but his arms and thighs could not avoid being pierced several times. Not only that, after the flying daggers pierced into his skin and flesh, it actually started rotating by itself, as though it was trying to mince meat, making his injury turned into a bloody mess. "Ah, dash!" The mysterious man was in so much pain that he cried out sharply. Amidst this confusion, Huang Yueli had already secretly slipped out and dashed into the mounts of weeds along the side of the road. Ever since she entered the third stage realm peak, she was able to refine 5th-tier upper-quality profound armaments, and earlier the concealed weapon which she threw out at the mysterious man was a set of flying dagger which was imbued with the pyrogenic process, and this was one of her top works. The value was priceless. But at this moment, she couldn't care less about her heartache, as she cast it out without any hesitation. Furthermore, she was very sure that towards a 7th-stage realm exponent, no matter how exquisite her 5th-tier profound armament was, it wasn't capable of dealing him with a fatal injury and could only obstruct him for a moment. She must immediately find a way to avoid him. But Huang Yueli really was unlucky today. You can also listen on. The surroundings of this pathway were all in fertile weeds, and there wasn't even a tall tree which could be seen, not to mention anything which allowed her to hide herself with. Huang Yueli could only ran all the way and at the same time, prayed that her concealed weapon would be able to stop that mysterious man for a little while longer. Unfortunately, heavens didn't seem to hear her prayer. After the mysterious man was hurt by her, it drew out his determination from the agitation and became more wild and impatient. He dashed out from the fire and ran towards the direction which Huang Yueli was running in. "Wretched lass, you still dare to run. You made me turned out into this, I'm going to kill you to feed the dogs." Huang Yueli worked out all her profound energy in her body and unleashed her greatest skills. As though a raging wind, she flew past the weeds on the ground. Simultaneously, she used her exclusive skill and threw out concealed weapons behind her, hoping to create some obstructions for the mysterious man. But even so, her cultivation was still too far apart from the mysterious man. The two of them ran for around 1 hour, and as their distance closed in, the mysterious man was right behind Huang Yueli, no further than 200 meters away, and he was just about to chase up to her. Mysterious man screamed as he gave a chilly laugh, "Run, why don't you run some more? A 3rd-stage lass like you, did you think you can escape from me? When I catch you, I will let you have a taste of my methods." TSK, I wonder if the woman which young sect master had before, does she have any exceptional point? I want to taste something fresh too. Huang Yueli pretended not to hear his words and continued running wildly in front. In actual fact, she was very sure that today she would not be able to escape, but as long as there was a tiny hope, she would not give up. In so many years of her experiences, there were numerous times where she was on the lifeline, but she eventually managed to escape successfully. What she relied on, other than her ability, but most important, was the ability to remain absolutely calm and composed in times of urgency. Her eyes swept past the front and suddenly her eyes lit up. Not too far away from her appeared a tall sharp tower which was hidden in the clouds. Although the outer wall was filled with ashes and vines covered it, but she was still able to tell that it was an exquisitely designed building. Not only that, around the surrounding of the tower, approximately 3 miles from the zone, there were huge rocks laid out into an array. From those huge rocks' arrangement, it encircled the tower in rounds. If an ordinary practitioner happened to pass, that person would probably felt that these rocks were left behind during the construction of the tower and was laid around casually by the surroundings. However, for an expert like Huang Yueli, these huge rocks represented a dangerous array. If an unknowing person entered casually, he would be able to find a way to enter but absolutely not be able to find the way to exit, and eventually be trapped inside alive. For someone who had nowhere to escape, this was a huge surprise for Huang Yueli, which fell right from the sky. Indeed, heaven would leave a door open, and as long as they entered the boundary of the array, it was probably impossible for the mysterious man to chase up to her. Having this thought, Huang Yueli once again drew out several fifth-tier profound ailments and profusely casted it towards the mysterious man, and at the same time trying to preserve the profound energy within her body while she precipitously increased her speed and sped towards the tall tower's direction. Damn it! What is this? Mysterious man shrieked out behind her. Apparently he was struck by her again. Huang Yueli seemed to have wind under her feet, and it took a couple of breaths before she entered the huge stone array's boundary. You can also listen on. The minute she walked near the huge stone array, the surrounding air seemed to blow up gusts of mist, blurring the vision by quite a bit. This was very disadvantageous to judging the array's internal part. Huang Yueli only took a few steps inside and stopped as her forehead creased slowly. She had not expected this situation to appear within the huge stone array's internal part. Not only was the arrangement of the huge stone array extremely strange, furthermore the intensity of heaven and earth's profound qi was much higher than outside. The mist was formed due to the concentration of the profound qi which was gathered. This sure is strange. This huge stone array is different from any other array which I've seen before. Moreover, the skill of the person who set up this array is exceptional. This array could actually condense the heaven and earth's profound qi. Now we're merely on the outer part of the array and the profound qi's condensation is already so high. If we walk to the center of the tower, to what degree would the concentration of the profound qi be? The more concentrated the profound qi was, to a practitioner, this was something which they couldn't wish enough as it could quickly speed up their cultivation. But for such a deep concentration, the pressure which was produced was immense. Huang Yueli had problems even breathing and wasn't able to see the situation from out of 50 meters ahead. Under such circumstances, to stay within a high-leveled array which one had not seen before was an extremely dangerous thing to do. Huang Yueli was very clear that if she was rational enough, she should immediately turn around and leave this huge stone array. Otherwise, the minute she went deep in, there was a 90% chance that she would be stuck inside and unable to come out. But, by Ruoli, wretched lass, get out this instance. You think that hiding within these stones, I will have no way to deal with you. Outside the huge stone array, the mysterious man's sinister voice was heard. Huang Yueli had no other way but to clench hard on her teeth, and she continued to trudge forward. For her to head out now would be a route to death. But if she continued going forward, there would be one slim chance of survival. She was someone who didn't like to hesitate, and once she decided, she decisively walked in further and hid herself behind a huge stone. This was to ensure that if the mysterious man entered the huge stone array, he had no way to locate her immediately, so she stopped right here. Huang Yueli first turned around to check out her surroundings and stretched out her hand, feeling the surroundings, and felt a huge stone which felt at least 3 feet tall. From the wind erosion traces, these stones have been left here for at least several thousand years and possibly even 100,000 years history. In this case, the tall tower inside could possibly be left by ancestors 100,000 years ago. 100,000 years ago, in Soaring Heaven's continent was considered as ancient times. It was rumored that during those times in Soaring Heaven's continents, the intensity of heaven and earth's profound qi was much higher by 10 over times than now, and because of this, it was much easier for practitioners to cultivate then. In the ancient times, soaring heavens continent strong practitioners were everywhere, and ninth stage realm practitioners weren't considered as first-rated top exponent. The 10th stage realm, which Mu Qingying hoped to achieve, at that time in any strong powerhouses, would have at least one or two such characters. If the tower was indeed the remnants left behind in the ancient times, then inside, probably had some incredible inheritance or treasure. Thinking of this, Huang Yueli finally gathered some spirit. Actually, she wasn't interested in any inheritance or treasures right now. All she wanted to do was to get rid of the mysterious man and look for Li Moying in Celestial Light sect to clear things up. But now she was already trapped within this array, so the only road left for her was to continue walking. You can also listen on. Huang Yueli stood under a huge rock and turned back towards the entrance which she entered from, thinking to use her own position to gauge where she was at now. However, when she turned back, she discovered that the entrance had already been shrouded in mist and couldn't be found. Huang Yueli frowned slightly as her mood became even gloomier. Looked like the idea of borrowing the array's deduction to calculate the operational rhythm was temporarily not possible, so she could only take one step at a time. Huang Yueli raised her hand and a flame shot outwards, burning against a huge rock, then subsequently extinguishing slowly. The area which was burnt left a scorched mark behind. This mark was instilled with a special mark filled with profound energy and concentration, and was different from using an ordinary knife to make a marking. Even though the array was ever-changing in the process of her advancement, it could not be erased. Huang Yueli chose a route and walked towards the inner part of the array. She maintained advancing towards the direction of the east, and every time she passed by a huge rock, she would use the same method to leave a marking. Just like that, she walked for around 4 hours when her feet suddenly halted and her vision turned towards the right side of a huge rock. On the huge rock, a clear distinct fire pattern was seen. It was the first marking which she left behind. Huang Yueli wasn't surprised at all, but went seemingly into deep thought as she stared at the marking for a moment. This huge stone array wasn't very large, and the diameter was just around 3 miles or so. If she were to talk in a straight line from the outer zone to the bottom of the tower, she only needed a quarter of an hour, but it's already been 4 hours and she had yet to find the exit. Apparently she had been heading round in circles on the spot. Huang Yueli's brows creased, and after thinking deeply, she retrieved an array board from the Sky Phoenix ring. To an array master, the array board was the most important tool in calculation. Basically, when setting up arrays, it was required. Previously, when Murong and I was setting up an array, the array board was always in her hands. But Huang Yueli's concentration was extremely strong, so she didn't need the array board for many low-leveled arrays before she could directly proceed with the deduction. However, the situation now was different. This array was possibly left behind during ancient times and was extremely complicated, whereas her cultivation level was obviously not there yet. Even she herself was not certain that she could break through the array. Huang Yueli held on to the array board and her lips pursed slightly as her eyes narrowed slightly, her long lashes hanging downwards as her fingers slid around on the array board, silently calculating. After some time, she kept the array board, turned around and headed towards another route. However, after another 3 hour plus, she had returned to the same spot once again. Huang Yueli wasn't discouraged and continued to calculate using the array board, finding the third route. Another 3 hour plus later. Looking at the familiar flame marking on the huge rock, Huang Yueli was no longer indifferent. What's going on? Why is it that my calculation is still wrong? There must be a certain element that I've forgotten to consider. The mist here is too big and I can't see the entire topography clearly, so I can't tell where the problem lies at. Suddenly, her tummy started rumbling. Huang Yueli then realized that a long time had already passed. Because the huge stone array was encapsulated in the thick heaven and earth profound qi, the inside was doleful and there was no way to differentiate clearly what time was on the outside. Probably, The outside has already turned dark, Huang Yueli mumbled as she took some food out from Sky Phoenix Ring and retrieved a rug as she laid it on the ground. As Little Phoenix was crying that it was bored in the Sky Phoenix Ring non-stop, Huang Yueli allowed it to come out as well. You can also listen on. After Little Phoenix appeared, its eyes revealed a shocked look, and after chirping several times, it turned into a little Shota. Whoa, what kind of ghost place is this? It's so dark. And so cold. So scary. Female devil, have you done too many guilty things, which is why you're sent to Hades at such a tender age? Huang Yueli was originally frustrated, but when she heard this little brat cursing her, the corners of her lips turned implicitly narrow and steep. I've not gone to Hades yet. But if you continue to make sister angry, perhaps I can send you to Hades immediately. She intentionally laughed evilly and backed against the sinister background of the huge stone array. She looked extremely terrifying. Little Wang Kai shuddered. Female devil. Ugh, no, pretty sister, you're not talking for real, right? I'm still so small and so weak, and so lovable. You won't do such an evil thing, right? Huang Yueli responded, that's very hard to say. You see, this is the wilderness now, and there's only so much rations and vegetables which the spiritual farm can store and grow. There's not even a drop of oil anywhere. If I were to strip your feathers, I can make a roasted chicken. Tsk. She gave a drooling look which made Wang Kai shriek out in fear, turning back into a little phoenix, and with a whoosh, he flew far, far away. Huang Yueli knew he wouldn't be lost and didn't bother much about it, as she sat on the rug and started eating her rations. At the same time, she pondered about this strange array. From the current situation, if she wanted to leave this place, she would need to walk at least a few hundred times repeatedly in this maze, and every time she passed by a huge rock, she would need to make a succession mark before she could start deducing, which was the only possibility of breaking this array. In this way, she needed to spend at least a month's time, and furthermore, this only meant that she might be able to break the array, but maybe she wouldn't be able to deduce the final result of the array. Although the ration she had in the Sky Phoenix Ring was enough to support her for 1 month, but what if she wasn't able to get out within 1 month? Just as Huang Yueli was in deep thoughts, suddenly a clear phoenix cry was heard from not too far away. Shoo dash. That sounded like Little Phoenix, but she couldn't tell what exactly was wrong. Huang Yueli immediately jumped and ran towards the direction of the sound. After turning into one corner, what met her eye was a bundle of bright flames. In between the gloomy, serene huge stones, the bundle of fire was extremely striking. That bright yellow ray was so striking that one couldn't open their eyes. After Huang Yueli was slightly accustomed to it, she barely opened a slit from her eyes, but upon one look, tears started flowing out. It was simply too bright. Would her eyes turn blind? However, just from this look alone, she was able to see the little bundle in the middle of the flames. Little Phoenix. It flapped its wings continuously in the flames and repeatedly twisted around, as though it was enduring a huge pain as it continued to give out a mournful whine. Huang Yueli's heart was lifted, but at the same time, she was surprisingly delighted. Seeing Little Phoenix in this manner, it seemed to be due to the fact that its body's profound energy was expended. In simpler terms, it meant it was going to advance. Ever since she had adopted Little Phoenix, this fellow didn't stop short of taking various fire-attributed spirit herbs or magical beast core, but eventually it just grew that little bit, and there was no obvious increase in its ability. Huang Yueli had fretted over this. Did this little fellow not grow up at all? You can also listen on. As the spirit beast of the Sky Phoenix Ring, little Wang Kai's actual body and spirit had already been separated. If it was any other ordinary magical beasts, it definitely could not possibly continue growing. But for a spiritual beast like the phoenix, it was completely different. Huang Yueli had once read in the ancient books that Phoenix would be able to absorb fire-attributed energy in the spiritual state, and once it reached a certain realm, it would be able to bath in true Phoenix fire and be reborn. But what kind of realm was this? Certain realm wasn't stated in the ancient records, and Huang Yueli didn't need to look before knowing that this was a higher tier than a 9th tier magical beast. Looking at little Wang Kai's slippery look, there was a 99% possibility that he had no chance. But no matter what, Huang Yueli still bore a sliver of hope that it could at least raise its potential, so from the start till now, she had fed a numerous amount of valuable medicinal herbs. In the end, this fellow ate till its tummy was rounded, and there was a time when it couldn't even fly stably, but the ability was raised. There wasn't even a shadow which could be seen. It was until now that this fellow was finally going to advance. On seeing this, Huang Yueli suddenly had a strange feeling, like her son was about to grow up. On the other side of the huge stone array, the mysterious man was holding on to a thin piece of lamb skin scroll, using the light reflection rays, gathering his concentration to look at it. His brows were tightly knitted and he was cursing non-stop softly. Damn it! Where did that wretched lass go? I finally waited for Li Moying to leave and managed to intercept her in the middle. Although I wasn't able to catch her, but this wretched lass fled wildly and chose to run to this tall tower, which coincided with what I wanted to do. Problem is, she runs faster than a rabbit, and after entering the huge stone array, she disappeared. I've searched for an entire day and still didn't manage to see where she is. If this wretched lass were to die accidentally in this array, then how am I going to proceed with the plans which I made later on? Surely I'm not that unlucky, right? I'm just one step away from success. No way, even if I have to dig 3 feet underground, I must find that wretched lass. The mysterious man shook his fists, as his eyes were filled with cruelty. Thinking of the secret plan which he had been planning for such a long time, he was just about to succeed, but Huang Yueli managed to escape from him several times, wrecking his plans. This made the mysterious man extremely anxious. Just at this moment, a melodious chirp was heard from not too far away, and it went on and off, sounding unreal. Mysterious man stood up with a whoosh. What sound was that? There's a bird chirping. No, what was going on in the north side? Why is it suddenly so bright? Could it be that by Ruoli that wretched lass didn't know how to die and did something to the array? I have to go over and take a look. He tipped his toes and flew forward, speedily flying towards the bright area. Little Phoenix's body was surrounded by the flames, and it slowly started to develop changes. Firstly was its youthful feathers. It gradually grew longer and started to look like a phoenix's feathers. Immediately following that, its wings started to grow and its body increased slightly in size. After another 1 hour later, little Phoenix's cries gradually weakened and the blinding flame slowly dimmed. By the time the flame entirely extinguished, little Phoenix finally couldn't hang on any further and plopped right onto the ground. Huang Yueli hastily rushed over and caught it in her arms. After advancement, little Phoenix grew slightly larger. Originally it was just the size of a small chick, and now, it grew to the size of a mature hen. You can also listen on. The feathers on little Phoenix had apparently grown longer, and the golden red glister on it looked especially pretty, which made Huang Yueli almost wanting to pluck a few down to make into an accessory. Looking at it, it seemed that its ability had increased by a huge notch. However, it had just exhausted its energy during the advancement, and it had already lost its consciousness as it laid in Huang Yueli's arms. Huang Yueli pinched its wings and mumbled, "Really fattened up by quite a bit. Will it eat more chicken drumsticks in future? If I can't afford to rear it, then I should just stew it." Little Phoenix might have heard the evil intentions its mistress had in mind in its sleep, and its wings actually twitched a little. All right, I'll not eat you first. Seeing that there is a possibility that you might grow further, I'll just rear you until you fatten up a little more before making you into a roasted chicken." Huang Yueli gave a delighted smile and threw little Phoenix into the Sky Phoenix ring, soaking it in the bathtub which was filled with Spirit Saint spring water. She was extremely cautious, and after she kept little Phoenix back into the Sky Phoenix ring, she purposely turned a few rounds before reaching the rear end of a huge rock relatively far away and even set up an invisible array at its surroundings before lying down. Little Phoenix managed to advance successfully, and that was a great thing. Huang Yueli felt that this was a good sign which showed that heaven always left a door open and she probably wouldn't really be trapped inside. So her mood lightened up by quite a bit as she took a peaceful nap throughout the entire night. She had not realized that the mysterious man had been exasperating searching for her whereabouts for an entire night, and there were several times where he revolved around the location where she was by a distance of 10 oversteps but gained nothing at all. The next day, Huang Yueli was awoken by the screeching noises made by little Phoenix in the Sky Phoenix ring. Wah! Dash. This little master has advanced, this little master has grown up. Look at my martial and heroic body and my strong legs, my broad and firm wings, and this shiny golden feathers. I'm simply the #1 most handsome bird under this heavens. Huang Yueli's lips twitched as she felt that she was almost about to throw up. With a change of thoughts, she released little Phoenix. The moment little Phoenix saw her, it immediately puffed up its chest proudly and chirped several times. Huang Yueli's thoughts were linked to his and naturally knew that this little fellow was badly inflated. Earlier those few words bore utter disdain towards its master. Her lips curled upwards and gave a cold harumph. You seem rather delighted. In the past, those reed flower mother hen which we reared in South Yu Kingdom were just as big as you. Did you really think your wings have hardened? Then change into a human form for me to take a look. Chi 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 chi. Little Phoenix protested intensely. Who did you say was a reed flower mother hen? And you want me to change and I'll change. Then what face would this little master had left? Unfortunately, he was Huang Yueli's contracted spiritual pet, and Huang Yueli only needed to move her thoughts and it could not help but changed into its human form as it fell onto the ground. Huang Yueli looked at it and immediately let out a disappointed expression. "Ah, so little. I thought you've grown a little bigger. In the end, you're still a stinky little kid." Little Wang Kai in front of her, although he had grown slightly taller, originally he could only hug her calf, but now he was able to hug her thigh. Huang Yueli's behavior and tone was extremely disappointed. Little Phoenix was so upset that it stomped its feet. What do you mean? How dare you despise this little master? You can also listen on. Huang Yueli's brows rose as she apparently had not cared about the phoenix's bird rights. So what if I despise you? After eating so many chicken drumsticks from your sister here, you just grew that little bit. Sigh, could it be that you have a congenital deficiency? Otherwise, are you dysphasic? I do not have a congenital deficiency. And you're the one who's dysphasic. Little master, I am very powerful, look carefully if you don't believe me. Little Phoenix stomped its feet as it swirled out an orange-colored flame and set it towards a piece of huge rock. The flame in its hands was exactly the #1 deviant flame, true Phoenix fire, in soaring heaven's continent. Huang Yueli herself had refined one of it so apparent she was not surprised but just stood beaming in one corner. But very soon, her eyes widened with shock. The place which the true phoenix fire had scorched had instantly turned to ashes and the black-gray-colored dregs continued to fall off. This piece of rock bore the mark which she burnt yesterday was inerasable. Just leaving a mark on it spent quite an amount of profound energy of hers. Little Wang Kai's fire. This was the upgraded version. Little Phoenix saw her stupefied expression and its chubby little face was filled with complacency. Saw it? Initially my flame was crimson red and that's the most basic level. Now it's changed into orange, which represents that I've already entered the second stage. From now on, after experiencing 9 more changed, when my flame becomes black, I will be able to experience rebirth in nirvana. Isn't that powerful or what? Huang Yueli secretly rolled her eyes. This arrogant zeal, was it something that was exclusive to this little fellow or something which he inherited from the family? Were phoenixes all so narcissi? She didn't want to aid this unhealthy ethos in growing, so she changed the topic. Right, in the past I'd thought of so many ways and wasn't able to help you advance. Last night, how did you suddenly, little Phoenix said, about this, maybe it's due to the concentrated heaven and earth profound chi here. When I was released out here yesterday, I felt my entire body becoming very hot, and the hotter it got, the more I wanted to find a cool and spacious space to see if I can make myself cool down. In the end, not only did I not manage to cool down, I caught fire instead. I was burnt until I was in so much pain, and later on, I fainted. When I came to, I discovered that I'd advanced. So this is the feeling of advancement. Huang Yueli replied in enlightenment, I see. No wonder in the past I prescribed medicinal herbs to you according to the Sky Phoenix Ring's ancient manual, but it was all useless. So it's because the profound chi wasn't concentrated enough. Little Phoenix nodded its head. Right, we Phoenix clan had lived in the God realm, and the concentration of the God realm's profound chi is much more concentrated than in this array. As compared to it, the usual soaring heavens continent's profound chi's intensity is simply too weak and very difficult to advance. Huang Yueli nodded as she started considering that the next time little Phoenix advances, she would need to set up a powerful spirit gathering array which gathered all the surrounding profound chi. But to raise the profound chi's concentration to the usual of 10 times and above, it was no laughing matter. The best spirit gathering array in soaring heavens continent now could only increase the profound chi's concentration by 5 times. Unless she was able to understand this ancient huge stone array's operational, or to obtain the array map. Right. I've thought of something. Just as she was in a daze, little Phoenix suddenly cried out, I have a thinking, and perhaps it might be able to break this array. When Huang Yueli heard what it said, her eyes shone brightly. What idea? Quickly tell me. You can also listen on. Little Phoenix raised its head upright and gave a light cough, attempting to be arrogant. Huang Yueli saw through his plan immediately, and she evilly smiled. I say, Wang Kai, you shouldn't have forgotten that we're still in the wilderness and your sister here hasn't taken any grease for the past few days. Little Phoenix shivered and was scared till it immediately stood upright. Why are you scaring an adorable and innocent boy like me? SP. I'll speak all right. Deep down his heart, he silently cursed this female demon for her ruthless ways, but did not dare to voice out his thinking. Actually, when I came out of the Sky Phoenix Ring yesterday, I realized that something was wrong. Haven't you noticed that the air around this array feels very familiar? Huang Yueli blinked. Really? Do you need to make it so profound? Little Phoenix angrily retorted, It's true. Not that I'm deliberately mystifying anything. This array is apparently left behind from the ancient times, and the person who set up this array is a peerless expert, so he left behind his presence in this array, which is why even after tens of thousands of years, this array hasn't completely dispersed yet. Huang Yueli said, Really? Then why can't I feel anything? Because you're a human and I'm a phoenix. We phoenixes' senses are much more sensitive than humans. Alright, this I've gotta admit. Huang Yueli nodded and questioned again. Then, this expert's presence which was left behind, why did it made you feel familiar? Little Phoenix continued, If your 5 senses are as sensitive as mine, then you definitely have the same feeling, because this kind of presence, I have sensed it at 2 other places before. The more Huang Yueli heard, the more muddled she became. Which 2 other places? Have I been there before too? Little Phoenix threw a "you're an idiot" glance as it stared at her. Of course. These two places, one is the Valiant Marshall Manor in South U Kingdom and the other is in Celestial Light Academy's Scripture Depository. When you first took out the blood-feathered silk cage which your father left behind and when you opened that secret compartment in the Scripture Depository, I sensed a similar presence. Only the other two places' presence weren't as strong as this place. A light bulb lit up in Huang Yueli's mind as though she suddenly understood something but wasn't that clear. Then, this means, the peerless expert who set up this array should have a blood relation with you and moreover your father made you look for this, maybe. It is related to this array. Little Phoenix explained. Huang Yueli thought carefully about what Little Phoenix said. If Wang Kai's senses hadn't gone wrong, that would be enough to conclude that this array was related to the item which Bai Lu Feng left for her. But wasn't this just a little too coincidental? Did she had such dog-sh*t luck? At Celestial Light Academy, her clue was cut off and even the item in the secret compartment which Bai Lu Feng left behind was gone. So in the normal course of events, the possibility of her being able to continue investigating was very minute. But now she was so lucky to reconnect with the broken clue while she was escaping for her life. A bad feeling arose faintly in Huang Yueli's heart but she wasn't able to understand what was wrong. Little Phoenix looked at her dazed look and couldn't help but tugged at her dress hem. Hey, female devil, why are you in a daze? Do you or do you not believe in what I said? You can also listen on. Its sparkly eyes were fixed on her when Huang Yueli suddenly stretched out her claw and both her hands pinched Wang Kai's chubby face, as she kept rubbing and stretching it. Female devil dash. You, what are you planning to do? Let this little master go. Little Phoenix suffered a ravage and it couldn't help but started screeching loudly. Huang Yueli smiled. I suddenly realized that a brat like you is quite smart and adorable. I'd not expected you to think of such things and actually did me a big favor. Little Phoenix kneaded his face which had turned red from the pinching and its ears secretly flushed a pink shade. That is definite, I am originally smart and adorable. Huang Yueli beamed and continued, now all's good, looks like we will be able to leave. Little Phoenix was stunned, huh? It wouldn't be that fast. Although we've finally found some clues, but to leave would probably be difficult and the complexity of this array had gone beyond my imagination. From the recollection in my memories, even if it was in the God realm, this kind of array is very high-leveled. Huang Yueli, however, seemed to have a plan up her sleeve as she smiled. Things aren't as complicated as you think. In actual fact, haven't you told me earlier the way to break the array? Did I? Little Phoenix was at a loss. Huang Yueli nodded, you did. Twice previously, when I opened the blood-feathered silk cage and the secret compartment, I used my blood so it showed that the clues which my father left for me, under normal circumstances, needed to use close relatives' blood before it can be activated. Since this array is part of the clue which my father left for me, then naturally it would also need blood. As Huang Yueli spat out the last word, simultaneously she flipped her right hand and retrieved a dagger from her realm ring, as she cut her left index finger without the least hesitation. Fresh blood immediately poured out. She shook her finger and let the blood drip onto the ground. Huang Yueli and Little Phoenix held their breaths as she stared at the ground without blinking. The moment her blood touched the ground, the entire huge stone array vibrated and the surrounding huge stones started to shake, as though it would collapse at any moment. Little Phoenix shrieked and moved sideways to hide. However, the rocks didn't drop down but suddenly flashed brightly at its original position on the great floor tiles. A palm-sized stream red thread seemed to be leading the direction forward. Whoa! It's true. This also can. Little Phoenix cried out in alarm. However, before one woman and one bird could get excited, the red thread extended to around 1 meter and suddenly stopped extending. What's going on? Little Phoenix asked curiously. Huang Yueli muttered to herself irresolutely, should be, because there's not enough blood. Ah. Under Little Phoenix's confused expression, Huang Yueli picked up the dagger once again, and this time round, she slit a cut on her wrist, a rather large one, around half an inch long. This time, blood continued to gush out from the wound on her wrist and flowed onto the ground. The red thread extended forward with lightning-fast speed as it led out a clear path. That's great, we've finally found the way out, Wang Kai quickly catch up. Huang Yueli run forward along, but its short legs weren't able to catch up at all as it procrastinated and ran a little. On discovering that he had been shook off a rather huge distance, it cursed lowly and turned back into a little phoenix as it spread its wings and tried its best to follow up. You can also listen on. Just at a distance under 300 meters away from Huang Yueli and Little Phoenix. The mysterious man held on to the lambskin scroll and he looked all around searching for their whereabouts. He had already searched for an entire night but was still unable to discover where Huang Yueli was hiding, and as time went by, he started to become more and more impatient and increasingly frustrated. Yesterday night, he had seen with his own eyes the glaring flame which arose in the array, but by the time he managed to rush over, the light had diminished and the array was once again restored to the serene and gloomy look, as the four surroundings were totally silent, not even a bird's chirping could be heard. Bairuoli, wretched lass, where on earth are you? I'm the one who has the array map, whereas you're just a headless fly which scatters everywhere, but why am I not able to find you? Where on earth have you hidden yourself to? He didn't know that Huang Yueli was equipped with the skill of setting up an array, and she easily set up an invisible array which successfully cheated him. After an entire gameless night, the mysterious man started to doubt his life. But just at this moment, the huge stone array started to vibrate. Mysterious man had thought something went wrong with the array and was scared stiff. But this vibration only lasted for 10 breaths before it gradually weakened. Immediately following that, from not too far away, a red thread suddenly appeared on the ground, and the direction which this thread was pointing to was exactly the same as the mark on the mysterious man's map, as it abruptly pointed to the array's exit, the middle of the tall tower. After a moment, footsteps could be heard from a nearby distance, and after the mysterious man hid himself behind a huge rock, he saw Huang Yueli's fleeting figure running towards the exit. He wasn't anxious to chase after her, but let out a chilly smile. She's really Bai Lui Feng's daughter, even though she doesn't have the map which Bai Lu Feng left behind, but she's still able to find the way out. Looks like the inheritance which Bai Lu Feng left behind had indeed been tampered with, and only his daughter has the way. But no matter, as long as his daughter is in my hands, that inheritance will naturally become mine. Ha ha ha, Bairuoli, never expected this eh? You thought you'd found the way out, but actually, it's only the shortcut to send you to your death. He saw Huang Yueli almost disappearing out of his line of sight and got up before following her carefully. Huang Yueli was still dashing straight forward. Little Phoenix flew till he was panting and felt that his wings didn't seem to belong to itself anymore. Chi chi chi. Chi chi chi. Female devil, just how big is still array? We've already ran for so long and still haven't seen the exit. Stop complaining, we should be reaching soon. Just this bit of distance and you can't fly anymore, you exercise too little. Huang Yueli's expression remained the same and even her breathing wasn't messy, so she could still afford to educate Little Phoenix. They didn't realize that something was amiss because the red-colored line revealed a segment, other than absorbing Huang Yueli's blood, it would also cause the huge stone rock array to vibrate. With so many huge rocks moving about continuously, with its astonishing battle array, it made it very difficult for them to notice any other sounds from the surroundings. As they ran, after around 1 hour later, the path before them suddenly became brighter and brighter, and although the intensity of the profound chi didn't descend, but the mist inevitably became lighter and lighter. Huang Yueli increased her speed and ran faster and finally dashed out of the huge rock array's boundary. You can also listen on. The image that entered their eyes was a broad and simple yet unadorned high tower. The tower body was very delicate, width was only 10 meters, yet it was very tall, like a needle pointing towards the sky horizon. When Huang Yueli saw that, she uncontrollably broke out in cold sweat. Such a slender tower body, it felt like a big gust of wind would be able to blow it down any time. However, this tall tower had experienced thousands of years of being windswept and battering of rain, and yet it remained immovable, as it stood upright majestically. Huang Yueli walked forward along with Little Phoenix and suddenly felt something was not right. On turning back, she realized that the array exit which she had left from earlier had disappeared into the mist, and even that blinding road sign had also disappeared without a trace. Looks like we can only head towards the tower, Huang Yueli shrugged. Little Phoenix patted its wings, chi 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 chi. Hurry, go in. There might be some clues which Uncle Bai left behind inside. I have a premonition that a huge secret was hiding inside. Huang Yueli nodded and walked towards the entrance. The high tower's main door was made out of bronze and was extremely lofty. The door was carved with complicated patterns. Look, this seems like a phoenix. Huang Yueli pointed to the center position. That position used an extensive amount of intricate carving methods, and a lively image of a phoenix was carved out. She hadn't heard any answer and curiously turned around. Little Phoenix's expression was filled with shock. What's wrong with you? Chi chi chi. This carving looks so much like my brother. So martial and heroic, compared to me, it's just lacking that little bit. Huang Yueli's lips twitched. I think you must have gone crazy thinking of your brother. This is the mark left behind tens of thousands of years ago by a peerless expert, and your brother had never been to Soaring Heaven's continent, right? Moreover, don't all the phoenixes look alike? You can tell which is which. Chi 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 chi. Who said everyone looks the same? We're obviously not the same. For someone as handsome as this little martyr, where can you find a second one? Little Phoenix protested violently, but Huang Yueli didn't read the deep meaning behind its words, only feeling that it was as arrogant as always, so she didn't probe further. She placed her hand on the door as she pushed gently. Chi, following that was a slight sound as the bronze door flashed a glint of blue light, shocking Huang Yueli so much that she withdrew her hand swiftly. Her expression looked to be filled in deep thoughts. Looks like this door cannot be opened casually. There are several ancient arrays encrypted onto this. Before she could finish her words, suddenly Little Phoenix gave a mournful whine as its voice resonated through the skies. Huang Yueli trembled, and before her body could make any reaction, her toes had threaded hard on the ground as she flew out in a slanted direction. At the same time, she gathered all the profound chi from her body, and a bundle of thunder flame like fire was thrown out towards her back. As expected, just as she was jumping out, a wetting profound chi attacked towards her original position. Although this strike didn't hit her, but when it struck the ground, it caused a huge hole on the tough stone ground. Huang Yueli turned around to take a look in lingering fear. Standing not too far behind her was the mysterious man who was chasing after her in hot pursuit yesterday. Huang Yueli's eyes popped out with surprise as she didn't expect the mysterious man to follow her to this place. Although yesterday Little Phoenix made a huge commotion while it was advancing, but the huge stone array layout was just too complicated. You can also listen on. Even though they weren't able to see anyone nearby, but it wasn't as though they wanted to reach a certain position and they could reach that position. There was a 99% possibility that in the process of finding someone, they might lose their way in the array. Because of this, although Huang Yueli knew that the mysterious man had also entered the huge stone array, but she wasn't particularly worried. The possibility of them meeting in the array was just too low. Moreover, the mysterious man did not have her special bloodline, so there was no way he could use her method to walk out from the array. But even thought it was not possible theoretically, but in actual fact. That mysterious man had indeed came out. Huang Yueli quickly calmed down and faced the mysterious man, but she was on high alert, ready to face his attack and meet it. Mysterious man wasn't in any urgency to attack her again, but instead he began to laugh sinisterly. By Ruoli, we meet yet again. I've told you earlier that no matter how you run, you'd not be able to escape from me, so why do you even bother to be so anxious and waste so much effort? Why not coordinate with me obediently and save yourself from being horrified? Huang Yueli sneered, do you think I'm a 3-year-old kid? That I'd believe your nonsense? Mysterious man laughed, what I'm saying is not fake. To tell you the truth, the reason why I'd be pursuing you non-stop is so that I can bring you to this place. Now that you've come here yourself, it saved quite an amount of effort on my end. Now as long as you're willing to help me with a favor, once the matter is done, I can let you off. Huang Yueli's eyebrows rose, you tried to capture me just to bring me here, why? This mysterious huge stone array and high tower are obviously an early historical remain, but it's never been spread around by anyone, so how did you discover this place and what does it have to do with me? Mysterious man replied, as a kid, why is your curiosity so strong? Anyway, now that you can't escape, do you know what's the difference? The difference now is whether you obediently help me, or I will pressure you to help. His tone was starting to become impatient as he intentionally raised his voice, sounding extremely vicious. Huang Yueli however remained unmoved, you think I'm not clear-minded? If you have 100% certainty to force me to do as you wish, would you even waste so much time talking nonsense to me? Since you have no certainty and want me to help, then you have to tell me clearly. Otherwise I will immediately self-explode. Anyway, it's just death, and since it can still spoil your plan, it's worth it. She intentionally said this, and as expected the mysterious man clenched his fists tightly, obviously slightly anxious. Looks like she had stepped on the mysterious man's vulnerable spot. Huang Yueli was very sure that the mysterious wanted her alive so that she could help him with his matter, otherwise the last time in Celestial Light Academy, he could have killed her. Just that she didn't know, what motive did this fellow had? He considered for a moment before speaking out, alright, I'll cut the story short. This huge stone array and high tower had already existed here for a long time, and the reason why there were no related hearsay was because, firstly, this historical remains was only visible under a particular weather and usually it's invisible. Secondly, most people who enters this huge stone array would be lost in it and eventually trapped and died inside. Huang Yueli nodded. At least up to this point, mysterious man was not lying. She had indeed seen many skeletal remains while she was in the huge stone array, and that should be those explorers who had starved to death after entering this place some time ago. You can also listen on. The mysterious man continued, some years ago, I unintentionally discovered a piece of treasure map, and the mark on top shows the position of this early historical remains, the timing it appears, and the way to pass through the huge stone array. Only when I reached the high tower, I realized that I couldn't open the bronze door with the phoenix carving, no matter what. In order to open this door, I've already thought about it for a very long time, all the way until... He paused, as though he was thinking of what to say. After that, you joined Celestial Light Academy, and I realized that you have an exceptional talent in armament refining, and there is a possibility that you can help me open this door, so I set my sights onto you. Look, this to you is an enormous opportunity. If you coordinate with me to open this door, after I enter the high tower, whatever profound armaments or spiritual medicine or rare treasure, I'll split half with you. What do you think?" As he was saying, he threw out a bundle of tempting baits as he started to convince Huang Yueli into cooperating with him. Huang Yueli pretended to be ignorant as she asked, "Really? Just helping you and I will be able to get so much benefits." In the early historical remains, just any kind of treasure are all top-rated valuables. Isn't that so? The mysterious man thought she had been convinced as he hurriedly continued persuading, "What I need you to do is especially simple. You just need to give a little and you will be able to get the treasures from the early historical remains. Such a good thing, once you've passed this village, there'd be no such shop anymore." Huang Yueli frowned as she asked, "Your words have aroused my interest. But I still don't understand. I'm merely an ordinary student in Celestial Light Academy and considered to have a little bit of armament refining skills. But I know nothing about this early historical mechanism, so what can I help you with? Are you thinking too highly of me?" "No matter, no matter." Mysterious man hurriedly replied, "This matter is especially simple and only a talented armament master like you can achieve." Paw paw paw. Before the mysterious man had finished his words, Huang Yueli couldn't help but started clapping. Mysterious man was stunned. Huang Yueli responded, "Your lie have been weaved until it's so real, but have you thought that I'm too silly? Your words are full of loopholes. Did you think I will believe you? Unintentionally discovered a treasure map and it showed the position of an early historical remain. Where can you find this kind of treasure map? Give me 100 pieces of it. You've tried on several times to kidnap me to this place, just to let me use my armament refining skills to open this door for you. Are you trying to cheat a child?" The mysterious man was exposed by her on the spot and his expression instantly sunk, but he refused to admit it. "Why? You feel that I'm lying to you? What I'm saying is all the truth. I wanted to cooperate with you sincerely, so I told you everything I know. Don't you refuse a toast only to be forced to drink a forfeit." Huang Yueli calmly replied, "What you're saying is indeed the truth, but you've changed some crucial points slightly. The treasure map should be true, but it's not that you discovered it unintentionally. Earlier I opened the secret compartment which my father left behind. I immediately was pursued by you. These two matters are definitely linked, and your treasure map should be retrieved after you tried ways and means to open the secret compartment which my father left behind." The mysterious man was tongue-tied. He had thought that the words he said earlier was obscured enough, but he had not expected Huang Yueli to be able to find any flaws, and just using a few words, she managed to deduce the truth. You can also listen on. Huang Yueli continued talking. The information regarding the treasure map having marked the early historical remains should be true as well, otherwise, you couldn't possibly pinpoint my position in such a complicated huge stone array. But, you've kidnapped me here is absolutely not because you fancied my status of an armament master, but, there should be some mechanism which only I can open up. Am I right to say that? After Huang Yueli finished her words, the mysterious man immediately fell into silence. He was utterly shocked. He had not expected Huang Yueli to be such an agile person. Even these were guessed correctly. On seeing that the truth could not be hidden any further, he might as well told the truth. "All right, since you've guessed it, then there's no meaning even if I refuse to admit it. Now that you're already here and have no way of leaving, why don't you help me open this door? I'll keep my word on whatever I've said earlier, as long as you can help me here, whatever there is inside, I'll split it with you." Huang Yueli laughed coldly in her heart. She wasn't some innocent young lady who had just came out to experience, so how could she possibly be so naive? Mysterious man on several attempts had wanted to take her life, and now he's using some unrealistic promises to cheat her into helping him. She gauged that after she opened the door, not to mention about splitting the treasures, she probably would lose her life on the spot. But she didn't expose him immediately. Instead she questioned, "How do you want me to help you?" Mysterious man said, "Actually, what you need to do is very simple. I initially didn't know how to open this door, but when you opened the secret compartment using your blood in the scripture depository, that gave me inspiration that perhaps the item which Bai Lu Feng left behind had something to do with your bloodline that runs in your body. Earlier you used blood in the huge stone array to reveal the correct pathway. This made me further ascertain that my thinking is right. In that case, what you want is my blood." Huang Yueli's brows rose, but inside her heart, she wasn't too surprised. After the previous few experiences, she had vaguely guessed that the clues which Bai Lu Feng left behind, leaving her to this place, probably had something to do with the bloodline in her, so these clues and mechanisms practically all needed her to use her blood to open up. Only now that these words came from the mysterious man's mouth, then she must set herself on high alert. Even if this door's mechanism really needed her to use her blood to open up, things wouldn't be that simple, and the mysterious man definitely has his own schemes. The minute she opened the door, he absolutely would destroy the bridge after crossing the river. She naturally wanted to enter the high tower, but she absolutely cannot let the mysterious man in. Don't think that the cooperation, which they were talking about now, the both of them knew clearly that there was only one person who could live till the end. As for now, she was at an absolute disadvantage. Not only did her ability lack far, far away from the mysterious man, furthermore even the map which Bai Lu Feng left behind was in the hands of the mysterious man. The understanding that this mysterious man had regarding this early historical remains was much higher than hers. Under these two overlaying circumstances, the possibility of her win was equivalent to zero. Furthermore, she had already delayed for a long period of time, so she probably wouldn't be able to continue dragging any more time. The mysterious man had not kept coercing her, was afraid that she might self-explode on the spot. If he could ascertain that she was not going to cooperate, then he would definitely take action without any hesitation. The situation was now so critical, but in Huang Yueli's heart, she was becoming calmer and calmer as thoughts flew past swiftly in her mind. You can also listen on. She must find a way to turn the tide around. Not only must she not die, she must also obtain the item which Bai Lu Feng wanted her to have. Suddenly, a light bulb lit up in Huang Yueli's head which made her eyes turn bright. This idea, although extremely risky, but there was a 90% chance that she might die under the mysterious man's hands, but at least there was a string of hope. This was her only chance. Celestial Light Sect. Early in the morning, the sect entrance at the main gate was filled with people. They heard that their young sect master Li Moying, who had left the sect for a long time, was about to come back, and quite a number of people specially came out to welcome him back. That included sect master Murongda, who personally graced this occasion. A huge flying ship gradually appeared in front of everyone's eyes. Not long after, Li Moying's silhouette appeared before the eyes of everyone. His reputation in Celestial Light Sect was very high, even surpassing Sect Master by a huge notch, so when he appeared, the crowd started to outdo each other in cheering. Young Sect Master, you're finally back. Young Sect Master must have gained quite an amount of rewards in this experience, right? Everyone started to step upwards to greet him. However, Li Moying put on a chilly handsome face and didn't bother about anyone as he directly walked past the crowd. That perfectly contoured good-looking face was coated with a layer of frost as his lips pursed tightly, and a shocking bitter feeling was emitted from his surroundings. Those standing around him immediately felt their temperature drop, and they all started to shiver, not daring to say any more words as they automatically opened up a pathway for him to walk. Murongda walked towards him from a distance away, and upon seeing Li Moying, he started to smile passionately. Moying, ah, you actually came back today, that's great. A few days ago, I heard that your illness acted up in the middle of the night. It almost scared me to death. Luckily your condition was in control later on. Li Moying looked at his own master and his footsteps halted as he indifferently nodded. Thank you, master, for your concern. Murongda continued, looking at you, it seems that your recovery this round went rather well. In the past, every time after your illness acted up, you'd need to lie down in bed for several days, but today it seems that your condition is quite well. Do you feel uncomfortable anywhere? Li Moying heard about him mentioning his illness and a pain shot through his heart. He had not been bedridden this round was entirely because Lear was by his side. Only the man in her heart was not him, so she cannot stay by his side forever. In future, if his illness acted up, he would have to face it by himself. Li Moying's eyes revealed a deep sense of hurt and momentarily he lost all patience to exchange conventional greetings with Murongda. He hurriedly found an excuse, Master, I'm a bit tired. Although this round I had regained consciousness much earlier than before, but my primordial spirit had suffered some damage, so I must quickly return back and go into closed-door cultivation to treat my injuries. When Murongda heard that, he immediately got worried and said, How could such a thing happen? Quickly go back and take a rest. Your body is most important and you must not leave any hidden injuries which might cause any influence to your cultivation. Master has some high-leveled medicinal pills for treating internal injuries and the Sex Medical Herb Garden had just received the 5th grade medicinal herb, I'll send all these to you later. This disciple of his was an invaluable treasure in Celestial Light Sect. In future, whether Celestial Light Sect were to fly high into the sky, everything would all depend on him. On hearing Li Moying say that he had suffered internal injuries, Murongda was more anxious than anyone else. Li Moying calmly nodded, Thank you, master, very much. He turned around and walked away, and all the practitioners behind all broke out into a bustle. You can also listen on. Young sect master is actually hurt. Who on earth could possibly injure a peerless genius like young sect master? That's hard to say. Although young sect master is an all-rounder talent, but he is after all very young and there are so many established peerless experts in Soaring Heavens continent. Regarding the news on Li Moying's soul detachment illness, this to the ordinary disciples of the sect was a secret, so they could only guess secretly. Just as the crowd was in discussions, suddenly another figure appeared in front of them. That person was Murong Fei, who appeared pale and extremely haggard. Ah, it's eldest young miss. Eldest young miss actually came back with young sect master. I'd never imagined that both of them took the same flying ship back. Could it be that young sect master and eldest young miss actually went to experience training together? I think that's about right. Hadn't sect master always wanted young sect master and eldest young miss to get married? Both of them were childhood friends, and from the looks of now, their relationship seemed to have advanced by leaps and bounds. Seems that wedding bells are ringing quite soon. The disciples' eyes revealed ambiguous and envious expressions. Murong Fei, a beauty with exceeding innate talent and with her valuable status, which disciple wasn't interested in her? But too bad she had already been acquiescence as Li Moying's fiancée, so the others didn't even dare to compete for her. When Murongda saw his eldest daughter appearing, he too was stunned. Fei, didn't you say you're going out to gain experience? Why did you return so quickly? Furthermore, you took the same flying ship as Li Moying. Murong Fei had been confined to her room for an entire day, and when she got off the flying ship, she was initially filled with indignance, but upon hearing the crowd's discussion, she suddenly realized that this seemed to be her chance. Anyway, Li Moying had already ditched that wretched lass, and now that he was feeling downhearted, it was her best opportunity to avail herself to get in. If everyone in the sect thought that the both of them were together, perhaps it might make her father set down their marriage agreement. Then in no time, perhaps Li Moying might really forget about that wretched lass and become a pair with her. Anyway, that wretched lass would definitely be dead meat this time round. So she wasn't afraid that she would come out and disrupt her plans. Thinking of this, Murong Fei's face revealed a tinge of embarrassed smile as she lowered her head and said softly, "Father, since you've already seen everything, then why are you asking me for?" Murong's eyes widened as he was filled with shock and joy. "Why? You and Moying, could it be? But in the past, wasn't there a young lass beside Moying? That time Moying went to save her and almost couldn't make it in time for the tournament." Murong Fei replied, "Eldest senior brother and that young lass had already split up, so..." Murongda was very surprised because Li Moying had thought highly of that little fiancé of his. Just one look and one would know that it was a life and death true love, but why did they split up after this period of time? But towards such a result, he was actually much happier with this. Because only in this way would he be able to make Li Moying turn into his son-in-law and made him stay in Celestial Light Sect forever. Unfortunately Li Moying had not been interested in Murong Fei, so no matter how he tried to play matchmaker to the both of them, there was no effect at all. He'd never thought that after he had given up, Murong Fei had used her own charm to let Li Moying bring her alongside him. Murongda laughed, "Good, good. Since Li Moying is willing to be together with you, then you must take good care of him. He suffered an internal injury this round, so you must aid him in recovering. You can also listen on." Murong Fei puffed herself up as she agreed without any hesitation. After she left, the crowd went into another round of discussion as all of them were extremely envious, all thinking that young sect master and eldest young Mrs. wedding should be nearing. Li Moying had left swiftly and had not seen the performance which Murong Fei put up. But those shadow guards who were carrying luggage saw the entire scene. Mo Air immediately put up a puking expression, "I'm simply going to throw up. I've never seen such a shameless woman before. Our master had not even looked her straight in the eye. Just look at her act. She made everyone thought that she will be marrying master tomorrow." Moe hurriedly covered his mouth. "What nonsense are you sprouting? Be careful that other people heard what you said. Just let her go squander by herself, anyway just based on her, master would never ever be interested in her." Mo Air nodded as he recalled Li Moying's lost soul look as he couldn't help but sigh. Third Miss Bai and master are still the most compatible. It's just a waste, why did the two of them quarrel to such an extent of splitting up? Moe wasn't as pessimistic as he patted his shoulders. "No matter, don't worry. From what I see, master and third miss just had a squabble. Don't think that master is usually so mighty and awe-inspiring, but he's only just 20 years old, so I think he probably acted in a moment of rashness. After his anger had gone past, there is still a chance to reunite." Mo Air sighed, "I hope so. In front of the high tower." "How?" "Haven't considered properly. I'm warning you, there is a limit to my patience, whether it's to die now or cooperate. I want to hear your answer right now." The mysterious man saw Huang Yueli lowering her head and not saying a single word as he finally lost patience and started urging. Huang Yueli set down her determination as she raised her head and said, "All right then, since I don't really have much of a choice, I shall cooperate with you, but you must keep your promise. After entering the high tower, you must share the treasure with me." "Of course. Since you've helped me, how can I mistreat you?" The mysterious man's lips curled into an icy smile as the black veil which drooped down from the hoodie sheltered his looks, not allowing anyone to see through clearly. Huang Yueli pretended to hesitate and spoke out again, "No way, an oral agreement is not binding. To prove your sincerity, you must take off your hoodie and show me who you really are. I know you must be someone whom I know." The mysterious man decisively rejected, "No way." Huang Yueli immediately said, "You can't do it. Since we are going to cooperate, you can't even let me see your real looks, so how can I believe that you're not lying to me? Forget it, I better not cooperate with you. Anyway, if you want to kill me, I'll just self-explode." Then you won't be able to gain any advantages. The mysterious man was so angry that he clenched his teeth, but after rearranging his thoughts, after he finished using her, this young lass was going to die anyway. So letting a dead person saw his real identity wasn't that big of a deal. Alright then. He changed his mind and stretched out his hand to remove the hoodie from his head. On seeing the mysterious man's real identity, Huang Yueli shrieked, So it's you. The mysterious man was actually someone whom she had met, but not very familiar, Celestial Light Academy's vice principal Ling Wenbin. But he had always used a special pill to change his voice, which made Huang Yueli unable to predict who he really was. No wonder, he could freely enter and leave the scripture depository because of his status as Celestial Light Academy's vice principal. His understanding of the scripture depository was much more than anyone else. You can also listen on. Furthermore, in the academy, he could easily mask his own identity, possibly even using ordinary students to trace her whereabouts. Ling Wenbin laughed evilly, That's right, it's me. Now that you've seen who I am, that proves that I am sincere enough, right? Then shall we start now? Huang Yueli cried out, Wait. Ling Wenbin angrily replied, What's up now? I've already agreed to so many conditions, so stop thinking of delaying some more time. Huang Yueli hurriedly replied, I'm not trying to delay, but since you want to ask me to open the door, at least pass me that treasure map to take a look. Otherwise, how am I supposed to open the mechanism? Surely I cannot just splash my blood on the door casually, then it'd open up, right? Ling Wenbin said, You don't need to look, I will tell you what the treasure map says. His alertness was rather strong, and even though he knows that other than self-exploding, Huang Yueli was not able to come out with any other tricks, but still he couldn't bear to take out the treasure map, feeling that hiding it in his space would be the safest. But Huang Yueli's motive was to make him bring out the treasure map, so how would she allow him to deceive her? She spoke again, Are you sure you know what the treasure map is writing? If you understand what it was about, then you won't take so long to open this door. No matter what, I'm an armament master, so regarding mechanisms, I know more about it than you. It will be much safer for me to take a look first before opening the door. Ling Wenbin kept a straight face, Stop all these nonsense and do according to what I tell you to. Quickly walk over there and stand on the right side in front of the door frame. Huang Yueli saw that he wasn't tricked, so could only follow his instructions and walked towards the front of the bronze door. Good, now see the leaf-shaped notch on the door frame. Now cut open your wrist and drip your blood on top of it. Huang Yueli complied as she placed her hand on the position which he pointed to. The two of them opened their eyes wide as they stared at the bronze door. Blood flowed out from Huang Yueli's wrist and dripped onto the notch as it followed the complicated and intricate carving pattern on the bronze door and slowly flowed along, bit by bit, filling up all the chinks. On the door, that lively phoenix beast had, at this moment, enveloped with a layer of red color, resembling the colors of a scorching flame, making it look realistic, as though the next second, it would turn into a physical form, flying up into the sky. As the blood flowed, Ling Wenbin's eyes were practically stuck on the door as his breathing became hasty, apparently extremely agitated. Ever since he discovered Bai Lu Feng's secret compartment, he spent several years' time before he found an 8th-tier armament master, forking out a heavenly price before letting him agree to activate the secret compartment, and after retrieving the secret compartment, he spent another 5 years researching on how to move past the huge stone array and how to open this bronze door. After waiting for such a long wait, now, finally it's time he could see the results. How could he possibly not be agitated and not anxious? However, as time went by, Huang Yueli's blood had filled all the chinks in the bronze door, but yet the door did not open. Ling Wenbin waited and waited, and after he realized that the door really didn't open up, his expression turned ugly. What's the matter? Are you playing any tricks? Huang Yueli's expression on her face was super innocent, as innocent as she could be, Principal Ling, this is a major injustice. Look, all my actions are done according to your requests and none of it had been done wrongly. But the door just wouldn't open, so how could you blame it on me? You can also listen on. You're tuning into the LoveLore Library YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.